We'll call this video part 2 of arriving parts. How's that? So the last video we talked about some old stuff that I got 3 years ago and then never had to deal with the AC. Excuse me. And then more recently the AC not wanting to work, so I decided, after the fallout with the AC guy not being reliable, that it's time for me to just do this myself, give it a try. If I F it up even more, then whatever. So then I'll pay somebody to fix my mistakes, but to overpay for what I think is necessary, probably not worth it. So the real good stuff showed up today. This showed up yesterday. Decided to bulk the video, and I'm actually waiting on one more part. So these were my low loss fittings, and these also have a ball valve. So that means these smaller ball valves are probably going to go back. Don't need them. They weren't a lot of money, but we'll see. Yellow Jacket, decent name. I don't know where all this stuff is made. I can probably guesstimate, but oh, it's Yellow Jacket, made in the USA. Wow, that's pretty cool. The rest of this, I'm sure, is not. So after doing all my research, and there's my air conditioner tag, and I do need 410A, my model number, how old it is, the fact that my delta for subcooling should be 10 degrees from ambient, the difference between the low line and the pressure gauge, when the pressure gauge has read the equivalent of 410A. So those two readings, when I have my thermometer attached, physically attached to the coolant line, there we go. And then I'm reading the pressure gauge, and then from the high line and translating that back to R410A's reading. That'll give me my liquid pressure at the service valve. So and then I found a cheat sheet online. So for my 10 degree difference at these various readings on my high line, my pressure readings on my red gauge, this is what I should see as the target. I mean, it's simple math. It's subtracting the temperature at the thermometer from the temperature on the high line. Excuse me, low line. I think the red line is the low line. No, blue, the vacuum, is the low. So red is the high line, yes. All right, so that's that. I've got a ton of different directions for different scenarios that I outlined and did research on. Now it looks like we've got our garbage men making a ton of noise out there. I don't know if you'll pick that up on the video, but that's what it is. So the reason I really wanted to wait for one of these items in particular is because of the situation we have. My compressor outside is so low on coolant, refrigerant, that it does a start stop, and it did that many years ago, and we've been down this path. So last year when I measured the temperature coming out of the vents, my thought was, yeah, we'll probably have to do something next year. Well, here we are next year, and it is time to do something. So let me start with the black case, because that's the important one. In fact, I'll put this out of the way for right now. This was a package deal, and the reason I went after it. So when I looked online, I don't need to, or at least I didn't think I needed to worry about weighing in my refrigerant. That's more for people who are charging money for, and I put a battery in this, charging money for how many pounds of coolant they bring in. But I wanted to be able to weigh this for my own edification, because again, according to my cheat sheet, my label says this unit will take 6 pounds 13 ounces, so almost 7 pounds of coolant. And that doesn't account for the lines, the 40 feet of lines going to the coil, the coolant coil. So I wanted to have an idea of what I was putting in here weight-wise. So I went ahead and I picked this, looked around online, and all the scales, in my budget, are in the $80 to $100 range. And let me zero that out. And what are we in? We're in pounds. So I picked this up and then I started playing with it to make sure that, you know, when I put my coolant on the scale, you know, I've got roughly 25.6 pounds with the R410A in here. And what I would do then is zero it out, and then as the gas, liquid slash gas starts to go into the unit, that's when I would see the change, the negative change. So that's the value to me of that scale. But I quickly discovered that what's even more important is, because the normal charging method has you releasing refrigerant into the low line, the blue valve, the blue side, with my vaporizer. Where you at? With my vaporizer, unit has to be on. Start system. Okay, I can't start my system. So I've got a problem in that my system is so low on coolant that it won't start, or it will start, but it won't stay on. And that's because it's too low on coolant. And that's a built-in safety feature, so the compressor doesn't damage itself by running without coolant. So the fix is to get coolant in there. But how do you get coolant in there if you can't turn the system on? And the answer to that is charging on the high line. So throwing liquid into the unit, because it's essentially almost out of coolant. So the level of pressure is not going to be a concern for me, hopefully. And I'm only going to put a few pounds of my R410A into the lines, and that's where the value of the scale comes in, because you know, when I put my gauges up to check pressure and see where I'm at, I'm going to guess I'm very low, if not empty. And this will let me know exactly how many pounds I'm putting in, pounds and ounces I'm putting in, so I don't get too close to that. And when I'm near that, maybe 5 pounds, whatever, I will stop liquid charging and move over and turn the system on, run it, and then go to vapor to get up to my desired deltas. The one thing I am waiting on, however, that didn't show up yet, and again, that added some complexity, because I picked up Easy Seal, which I'll show when it shows up, and that is a, you know, the equivalent of, looks like a cable like this, but in between the cable is a leak sealant, and you attach that to your blue line, your vacuum line, and then you shoot it in with a little bit of liquid. And the problem is, the system needs to be running in order to install that particular leak feature. So without my system running, I'm really at square one with putting my refrigerant in on the red line side, the high line. This was the other thing. So this came as a package, and again, I'm looking all around online, and this is about 85 to 100 bucks. And I found the set with this scale and another set of gauges and hoses. And what was nice was this also will do R410A, and I've got everything as well to do other refrigerants, thus these adapters for, I think, I want to say that is for maybe automotive features. Not quite sure, but I won't be using these on the house. It'll be straight off the manifold, and again, another set of hoses. So I'm a fan of N+1 because Murphy's Law says something will break and then I'm out of luck. So this package deal was about the same cost, a little bit more because I had to pay shipping as opposed to free shipping. So this package deal was a much better buy than just getting the scale all by itself. So it was 100 degrees yesterday, and last night the house was 87 upstairs, and it was rough sleeping. So I will probably be doing this today, at least to get the system functioning. Don't know if the Easy Seal leak sealant will show up today or not, but when it does, I will put it in and video that as well. That's it for now. Perfect timing. I was just bringing everything outside to start because I had no idea when the last ingredient in my recipe was going to show up, but this just showed up, and we'll start doing stuff.